Welcome to this episode of Optimal Game State. Today I'm going to be doing something new. I'm playing an actual game of Necromunda. So in this video I'll play through the first scenario from the Hive War box of Escher versus Delaque. These are relatively simple gangs with a straightforward scenario intended to be a good intro into learning the game. For me, it's also an opportunity to try out this new format and to try to remember how to play Necromunda. The board for this game is quite small, and the victory objective is essentially to the death, so we're not expecting to see a lot of strategic depth here, but hopefully it'll be a bit of fun. Here we have the initial board setup. We have Delaque on the left and Escher on the right. The leader of the Delaque, Mr. Vex, has used his infiltrate ability, but was relatively conservative with it, and just moved up into cover on the bottom left side of the screen. On the bottom right, the Escher gang have Jinx, who is a champion with a plasma pistol. Further up, we have Trixie, who is a ganger with a lasgun. Beside her is Raja, the Escher leader, with a plasma pistol and shockwhip. Up top, we have Jada, a ganger with a lasgun, and Raven, a champion with a combi bolt gun needle. On the other side, we have Mr. Vex with a flechetti pistol and web gauntlet. In the middle, we have Wraith, who is a ganger with an autogun. Next to him is FaZe, who is a champion with shotgun and web gauntlet. At the top, we have Cypher, a ganger with autogun, and Umbra, who is the second champion with a long rifle. The first roll we need to make is for priority. Black in this case is for Delaque, and yellow is for Escher. Delaque win the roll, but I mistakenly assume that means they have to move first. They actually get to choose. So for later, we'll consider Escher as having won this roll. The first action is to make a move action with Wraith, putting him into cover behind here, but giving him a line of fire should something appear. At the bottom of the board, Jinx thinks she might have a shot, so she moves her 5. Unfortunately, that does mean she's out in the open, so she's not able to get into any cover. Looking at it, she's unable to draw line of sight to Vex, who is hidden behind that target there. But she is able to draw line of sight against Wraith. So Wraith is behind cover, over 50%, so we consider it hard cover. Measure it to see the range, so it's within the 12 inches. She does have a plasma pistol, so she is going to fire her plasma pistol at Wraith. She rolls a 6, so that is a hit. Wound roll is another 6. No armor save, so straight to injury. And we have a serious injury for Wraith. Back to the Delaque. And Mr. Vex moves up, looking to get some payback. So he moves in position, and he's going to be using his flechetti pistol. So it's got a short range of 4 and a long range of 12. So it's going to be a long range. And 1 is a miss. Back to Escher. And Trixie is going to try line up a shot on Mr. Vex, who is out in the open. So she's putting herself in a bit of a precarious position here. So she's just moving up behind this pillar. She has a good line of fire against Mr. Vex. He's out in the open, within the short range of the lasgun, which is 18 inches, giving her a +1. She has a ballistic skill of 4+, so she needs to get a 3+. She hits. Lasgun is strength 3, and Mr. Vex is toughness 3, so it's a 4+ to wound, and she fails. Since this was a hit, even though it caused no damage, Mr. Vex is now pinned. Umbra is a Delaque champion with the long rifle, so he's just going to move up so he's got a good line of sight across those two sections. From this range, he can actually see Trixie, so he is going to take a shot. The long rifle only get bonuses at long range, and its short range is 24 inches, so there's not going to be any range bonuses on this. Trixie is out in the open, so no penalties. Ballistic skill for Umbra is 3+. That's a hit. Strength for the long rifle is 4, and it does -1 AP and 1 damage. Wound roll is a 6, so Trixie is going down. There is actually a knockback rule on the long rifle, which I forgot to apply. That would have increased the damage by 1, because you should have got knockback by the 1 inch, but couldn't make it. The extra point in damage would have meant rolling a second injury roll. Here we have roll, and it's just a flesh wound, so she's still up, she's still good, but she has 1 flesh wound, which will reduce her toughness by 1. Again, since she did get shot at, she is also pinned, so we're just going to put her down prone. There's her flesh wound marker. Over to the Escher turn, and Queen Raja is keen for blood. She takes a double move, heading over to where Mr. Vex is currently down. She stays behind cover, but will be ready to pop out with her plasma pistol next turn. Trixie has become somewhat of a focus for the action here, and FaZe is actually going to attempt to charge. So she'll be able to move her normal move, which is 5, and plus D3. She rolls a 1, which means she's able to move a total of 6 inches for this double move. That is not going to be enough to get next to Trixie, but it will push her up the board, and it'll leave her a little bit exposed, but it'll leave her closer, so maybe she'll get shot at somebody next turn. JD activates and moves up, so JD is a ganger with a lasgun. Now, she is trying to get a line of fire on anyone she can, preferably FaZe if possible. Fortunately, she's not quite able to draw a line of sight. It's just a little bit too tricky to make the shot. But she is there supporting Trixie if more move in. Last to act on the Delaque side, we have Cypher, ganger with an autogun. He moves up, but without any target to draw a line of sight to, decides not to stick his head out. Raven still hasn't acted yet, and would be able to get a shot if he did. Across the board, we have Raven, who in a similar situation is going to just move up, but not stick her head out. So both sides at this part of the table playing it relatively cautiously in the hopes of not getting shot. Into the end phase. Only the Delaque have taken an injury, so they will need to take a bottle test. For this, we roll a d6 and add the number of injured and taken out fighters. The gang wants a total lower than the starting number of fighters, which was 5. Here they roll a 3, add 1 to that, and we're still under the 5, so everything's still good. We have a recovery roll for Wraith, who rolls a flesh wound, so back in the action, just with -1 toughness. We start turn 2 off with a priority roll, and it is even, so we are going to give priority to Delaque this time. Rather than face down those 2 plasma pistols, Vex is going to take an action to get up from prone, remember he was pinned, and then he is going to take a move action to try get behind a little bit of cover at least. Trixie is in a similar situation, but things are a little bit more difficult for her as Umbra has line of sight to her with his Overwatch. The Overwatch skill lets Umbra interrupt a declared action to shoot the target. If the target ends up pinned or seriously injured, that activation ends immediately with the action undone. So, Trixie gets up. Umbra doesn't react. Trixie attempts to move back behind cover. Umbra takes the shot. His ballistic skill is 3+, and he rolls a 6, so she's hit. Her toughness is reduced to 2, so the long rifle strength of 4 is double. The 3 wounds. The injury roll is seriously injured, so she goes down again. FaZe takes a charge action. She's well within the 5 inches needed to get to Jadia, but we roll the d3 anyway. A 2 gives her the extra inch, so it's a charge for 6 inches. Unlike some games, you do not need line of sight to charge, so we are able to come in around the corner like this. This is our first example of melee, and unfortunately, in the game, I made a bit of a mess of it. In this game, some blows were traded, and no damage was done. The way it should have worked is as follows. Step 1. We can turn to face if we want, but doing so reduces hit rolls by 1. Luckily, in this example, everyone is already facing the right way. Step 2. We pick weapons. Fighter can use up to 2 weapons with the melee or sidearm trait. FaZe has her web gauntlet, but also has an auto pistol, so she picks both of those. Step 3 is to determine attack dice. FaZe starts with 2 attacks from her profile. She gets an extra one from the auto pistol, and another bonus dice for charging, so that's 4 in total. If she had 2 melee weapons, she would have to split the attacks evenly, but as sidearms can only have 1 attack, the remaining 3 go to the web gauntlet. Step 4 is to declare targets, so just one here, Jadia, which is so easy. Step 5 is to make the rolls, and Step 6 is to resolve the hits as normal. Step 7 would then be the reaction attacks, so if Jadia did survive, she'd get to attack back following the same steps. As she doesn't have any melee weapons or a pistol, she would use her fists. So she would get 1 attack for her profile at strength 3 for her fists. Let's take it that FaZe rolled a bunch of 1s and 2s, missing everything. Jadia, having survived, now wants to try and get out of melee. This is a retreat action. To do this, Jadia needs to make an initiative check. If she succeeds, she can make a move action of 2d6 inches away. FaZe will also get to make an initiative check though, and if she succeeds, FaZe can make reaction attacks. Jadia needs a 7+ on 2 dice, and fails. FaZe needs a 6+ on 2 dice, and also fails. So Jadia is still locked in melee. Wraith is currently prone, so first thing he's going to do is he is going to get up, and then he is going to move into position. So this is to add more covering fire, but more importantly, this will leave him near enough to Trixie that he can actually move in and coup de grace if the opportunity arises next turn. So we'll have to see if she survives, but right now he is pretty close, so he could charge in and do that. Jinx still has a decent shot on Mr. Vex. She is going to aim as her first action, which will improve her ballistic skill by 1. Again, it's the plasma pistol at max power because it's always max power. Vex has some cover, but that 4 is a hit. The pistol is strength 7 versus his toughness of 3, so we're winning on a 2+. He does get an armor save. Mr. Vex has mesh armor, which is 5+, and an armored undersuit, which improves that to a 4+. The plasma pistol has armor penetration of -2, so Mr. Vex needs a 6, which he gets. This was a hit, even if though he didn't take any damage, which means he should be pinned, but I'm pretty sure I forgot to do that in the end. Last action for the Delaque. Cypher is in a standoff with Raven, with neither of them stepping out, so Cypher can't make a shot and Raven still has to act. Instead, Cypher decides to move into the center, looking to confirm that kill on Trixie. Although she's down, she's not dead yet. He's using his autogun, but ends up positioning badly. The short range of an autogun is 8 inches, and that would have given him an extra +1 to hit. He's just outside that, unfortunately, so he's in long range. That means he doesn't get the bonus, and he also ends up with an extra -1 due to Trixie being prone, something that only kicks in when you're at long range. Escher still have 2 gangers who can activate, even though the Delaque have none. This is due to the Delaque starting and using an Overwatch reaction. Taking advantage of this, Raven is going to push up the flank with a double move, hoping to get some shots on the back row of Delaque next turn with her combi bolter. Queen Raja is headed back to the middle, looking to deal with FaZe, who has become a problem. She takes a move action and then flicks the plasma pistol to max power. It's a short range attack, giving +1 accuracy. There's no cover, although there is a -1 because we're shooting into melee, so we're looking for a 3+. Uh-oh, a 1. That's not good. Now, normally plasma weapons on max power explode on a 1, but not in Necromunda. That can still happen, but it depends on the firepower dice, and if an ammo icon is rolled, then it's a 4+ chance of exploding. So good news is the plasma pistol isn't going to explode. Bad news is Raja just shot into melee and missed, so now there's a chance that Jadia gets hit instead. On a 4+, she's fine. And that's a 3. So Jadia takes a max power plasma bolt to the chest. Wounds on a 2+. Since we're doing 3 wounds to a 1 wound ganger, that's 1 injury dice for going down, and an extra 1 for each point of damage over. 3 in total. Serious injury, that could have been a lot worse. End of turn 2. Escher have 2 gangers out, so they will need to make a bottle check. They have 2 fighters seriously injured, so we're adding 2 to this roll. That's a 4, plus 2 is 6, which is over the starting number of 5, so Escher have failed their bottle roll. Probably a bad sign once your leader starts executing your buddies. This means at the end of each turn, the Escher gangers will need to pass a cool check if they want to remain on the board. They can choose to voluntarily fail that, which sometimes is a safer option. These are cool rolls, so we're rolling 2d6 and trying to roll high, getting equal to or beating the ganger's cool. For Raja, that's 5+. For Raven and Jinx, the 2 champions, that's 6+. And for Trixie and Jada, the gangers, that's 7+. When making these rolls, you should start with your leader, due to the lead by example trait. If your leader passes their cool check, then any model within 12 inches can automatically pass. Then move on to your champions. If they pass, then any of your lower rank gangers within 6 inches can pass. In this case, Raven is the only one to fail the roll. As you have to measure around walls and scenery, she was going to be outside the 12 inches from Raja anyway. We have 2 recovery tests to make. Trixie rolls a flesh wound, which is her second, bringing her to 1 toughness. Jada rolls an out of action, so we're going to go to the injury table for her. We roll a 55, which is a spinal injury, so Jada is out of this battle, has a permanent -1 strength, and goes into recovery, missing at least the next battle. Turn 3, first up the priority roll. Escher win. Queen Raja isn't going to waste this, and she aims and opens up with a plasma pistol. Her ballistic skill is 3+, it is short range, which is a +1. I do actually forget at this point that Phase has the faceless ability, so until Phase is activated, anyone attempting to shoot at her must first make a willpower check. Raja hits with a 3, as the plasma pistol strength is double Phase's toughness, even a 2 will wound. Phase has mesh armor with an armored undersuit, which is a 4+. The -2 AP means she needs a 6, which she gets, so no damage done. She did get hit though, so she should be pinned, which I've forgotten to do. Let's just assume Raja failed the faceless roll and we'll move on. Phase charges in against Raja. For this attack, she has her 2 attacks from profile and an extra attack from charging. They're with her web gauntlet. I should have also rolled a different colored dice for the auto pistol, along with a firepower dice. Anyway, we get 2 hits with the web gauntlet. It has strength 3 and Raja has toughness 3, so that 6 is a wound. The web gauntlet is a special weapon, and if it wounds, you don't have to make a save or injury roll. Instead, the target counts as being seriously injured. The sticky webs have caught them up, and basically they're unable to do anything but struggle to get free. The scary part about this is you can coup de grace a web target, so right now, Raja should be worried. Trixie is in the same situation as before. She's prone, but being covered by Umbra with his Overwatch. He lets her get up, but once she tries to move away, he shoots. He rolls a 1 and misses, so she can finish her move, getting out of the line of fire. Along the bottom of the board, Mr. Vex tries to hold the attention of Jinx to keep her away from the main action, but he's a little fearful of that plasma pistol, so he's keeping in cover and takes some shots with his Flechetti pistol with Fleshbane rounds. He misses with a 1, but he also rolled an ammo icon on the firepower dice, so he needs to make an ammo roll, for which for the Fleshbane ammo is 6+. He rolls a 1, so that weapon is out of Fleshbane ammo until he manages to reload it. He can do it with the reload simple action, but as the ammo is quite rare, it requires a 6+. As Mr. Vex didn't hit, Jinx is free to move and to support Raja. The short range bonus cancels out the engage penalty, so it's a straight ballistic roll. With a 3, Jinx scrapes through. For the wound roll, she gets a 6. Phase fails to make the armor roll, and by fails I mean I accidentally skip her chance at that 6+ roll. As a champion, Phase has 2 wounds. The plasma pistol does 3 damage, so the first 2 points of damage will bring her to 0, and that extra point goes into an extra injury dice, so we get to roll twice. Phase is down and seriously injured. Escher are out of activations, so the Delaque get to take some back-to-back moves. Cypher and Wraith are a little too far out of the action to help, so they move up, hugging the cover, but now close enough that they'll be able to help the next turn. End of turn, and we have Raja and FaZe both down. First, we'll make a recovery check for Raja. As she's webbed, this is a little different. If she rolls a flesh wound, she gets out of the webbing and doesn't take a flesh wound. If she rolls seriously injured, she's still stuck, and if she rolls out of action, she is removed from the board, but rather than rolling a lasting injury, is just considered to be out cold, as the anesthetics in the webbing send her unconscious. Okay, so she's rolled seriously injured, which means she's still stuck in the webbing for now. Next, we'll make a recovery check for FaZe. Out of action. So we remove her from the board, and we'll make a lasting injury roll for her. She rolls a 13, which is out cold, so no further effects, not too bad. We also need to make a bottle test for the Delaque, since they have one down. They roll a 2, staying well under 5, so they are fine. We also need to make some cool checks for the remaining Escher to see if they stick around. Raja is webbed, so no roll from there. Everyone else rolls high and sticks around. The initiative roll goes to Delaque, and they choose to go first this turn. Cypher charges in and coup de grace for the webbed Queen Raja. She's immediately removed from the table, and an injury roll is made for her. She gets a 51, which is a head injury, so -1 intelligence and willpower, and into recovery. Jinx tries to get some payback, taking an aim and fire action, but misses with her shot. Wraith lines up a shot on Trixie. He aims and fires. He does hit, but with an ammo check. We'll do the ammo check first. Autoguns are pretty reliable, requiring a 4+, so that's fine. Trixie's at 1 toughness at the moment, so to wound, Wraith needs anything but a 1. And there's that 1, so no wound. Again, I forget to pin Trixie, so rather than moving back slightly as she does, she would need to take an action to get up. Then she can shoot. She rolls 1, missing her shot into Cypher. Mr. Vex takes 2 actions to move up, but isn't willing to stick his head out yet. He stays behind a little bit of cover to make sure that Jinx isn't able to turn that plasma pistol on him too easy. No longer having a target, Umbra switches position. Rather than heading into the middle like the rest, he moves to the top of the board, looking to get a spot covering the full line of the Escher deployment zone. Unfortunately, due to the small size of the board, his long rifle is going to be at short range, where he doesn't get any bonuses. End of turn, and the Delaque will actually need to make a bottle roll. And they fail it, so they are bottling also. Next up, some cool checks. So, everyone needs to make a 6+ roll, apart from Trixie, who needs a 7+. So let's just go through some of these. And at the end of it, everyone passes. Everyone's still on the board. Now, they could choose to leave, which, I mean, maybe they probably should have, but we'll fight on. Start of the turn, let's do our priority roll. So that goes to Escher. Jinx moves up to line up a shot with Mr. Vex. She rolls a 3, hitting him. He does have cover, but it is close range. For the wound roll, it's a 2, which is enough due to the high strength of the plasma pistol. He does get a 6+ save due to his armor, but rolls a 5, so time for an injury roll. Seriously injured. Apparently hell hath no fury like an Escher with a plasma pistol. Down the far end, Umbra lines up his shot on Trixie. He hits with a 3. He wounds on a 2+ due to her low toughness and gets a 5. So we get to make an injury roll, and that injury is a flesh wound. As she already has 2 flesh wounds, and this third one brings her toughness to 0, she immediately goes out of action. We roll a 23 for her injury roll, out cold, no further effect. Cypher aims and fires his autogun at Jinx. A 4 is a hit, but he has an ammo check to make. He rolled a 6, so ammo is good. The autogun is strength 3 versus Jinx toughness 3, so he needs a 4+ to wound, which he does get. She does have flak armor, which is a 6+ save, and also has a dodge skill, which is another 6+, but fails both. One injury roll to make, and Jinx is seriously injured. Wraith will also move up to try get some shots in, but unfortunately misses. End of turn. Mr. Vex and Jinx are both down, so they do need to make recovery rolls. Vex rolls a seriously injured and stays down another round, while Jinx rolls a flesh wound and is back in action. I completely missed doing the cool checks, but with only one Escher left on the board, the game is close to wrapping up. Jinx is in a really difficult situation. Umbra now has her in his Overwatch, so it's unlikely that she's going to be actually able to do anything. Priority roll goes to Delaque, and Cypher aims and shoots. The 4 hits, and as it's an autogun, that rapid fire firepower dice turns into 2 hits. Armor save is on a 6+, and Jinx rolls 2 4s. Again, I forget to use dodge, so we go on to the injury roll, and Jinx is seriously injured. Wraith immediately follows up with a charge and a coup de grace, so Jinx is down. On the lasting injury table, she rolls a 56, which is enfeebled, giving her -1 toughness permanently and putting her into recovery. And that ends the game. Delaque came out of this battle a lot better than I expected. Not only did they win, but they also walked away with no lasting injuries. FaZe was only out cold, and after a few post-game rolls, Mr. Vex was able to walk away without any lasting effects. Compare that to the Escher, who ended up with multiple lasting injuries. The Hive War rules for injuries are simplified when it comes to linking scenarios together, so for the next battle, the Escher would be back to full strength. But if this was a game in a campaign, I'd be definitely looking for an easy next game. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Each week I put up a new video talking about one of Games Workshop's specialist games. The goal is always to try and make the best possible 2-player experience. If this is something you'd find interesting, please subscribe to the channel and comment to let me know what you'd like to see in future.